Hello, this is my card made with sunshine and tulips, which is actually a clean and simple card, which makes it easy to make and also very fast. So my name is Kat from Stamperkitty.Stampin' Up. We're going to get started in just a moment, so please close your eyes when I flip the camera around, which is going to be now. And here we go. And let's get this down here. All right, on this particular card, I did use the thick white, thick basic white cardstock. It's a little thicker, heavier, which I find is helpful when you have a card like this that's going to be sitting. It will hold up a little stronger. And then for the layer, I did use basic white. The dimensions on this particular card, it is 5.5 inches tall or wide, depending on how you look at it. And then it is 8.5 inches long, and it's scored at 4.25. Now I want to give you a tip. When scoring thick cardstock, this is the side that was up when I made my score line, okay? And what I want to suggest to you is that you fold it in, okay? Because it's made like a little valley. On thick cardstock, you fold it in. On regular cardstock, you would fold it the opposite way, this way, okay? But this is the side that has the groove in it on thick cardstock. And the reason for that is because it is thicker, it's weakened the fibers, and it's easier to fold it in and not have anything tear, okay? And then this particular layer is just 5.25 inches wide. Oops, let's move that a little bit. And it's 4 inches tall. And then the garden green cardstock is 3/4 inches tall or wide by, and it should be right around 5.25 inches long. And it might be a little extra, and you can trim that off. Sometimes I prefer to do that. And then the sentiment is simply stamped on a scrap piece. You know, you want it to be about at least 2 inches wide and around 3 inches tall or so, okay? And this particular one says, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you. And the inside, sending a garden of love. And the Sunshine and Tulips has a lot of options here with the verbiage, you know, thanks for your thoughtfulness, as well as thinking of you and hello. And then we have the stamps to create the flower. And on this particular card, I used Old Olive for the card base. Okay, or excuse me, for the flower, for the leaves of the flower. And then I also use Strawberry Slush and also Peach Pie for the orange card, for the orange section. For tonight, I'm just going to use one color to speed up the process, so that you just wanted to show you how I made the card. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is stamp the verbiage, and this one says, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you. Gonna ink it up, stamp it, and that looks really good. And I'm going to stamp it approximately in the middle and toward the bottom. Actually, no, let's do it this way. I forgot to mention something. This particular punch is called Labeled with Love. Okay, and in the catalog it was $25. Right now it's on last chance, meaning it is not going to last much longer. It's going to be a late only until supplies sell out, and they've marked it down to $15. So just how our stamps are locked in place, you just squeeze and pull this down, and then it will unlock it. All right. If you were to find that your cardstock were not long enough, you absolutely could use, let's see if I can find a Post-it note handy. Well, we can use this as a Post-it note. You could absolutely use a Post-it note or some mint tape to hold it if you need a little extra long length, okay? And I am going to do this. Take a look here. It's a little hard to do on camera. That looks good. And give it a squeeze, okay? And when you go to lock it, squeeze it shut and push it forward. Okay, so that takes care of that part of our card. Next comes the front of the card is on a layer. Okay, and what I recommend you do is put the green layer up just a little higher. You probably want it to end up about here. Okay. My goodness, this is so hard to see today. I apologize. I'm not sure why it is so hard and so dark. Anyway. Okay, so you're going to end up with it about here, but I raise it up just a smidge because when you're stamping, actually I reversed that, lower it a little bit because you want to be able to cover up the very bottom. Okay, and something you can do is you definitely want to leave this here. Okay, lower it just a little bit more to give you guidance. Okay, and then I am going to lay this here for reference so that when I'm stamping the leaves, okay, I make sure that I have enough room for my sentiment without obstructing the leaves or covering up the leaves. So now when I glue this down, I'll glue it up like that. Okay. While I have the green open, I am going to go ahead and stamp the front of my envelope also. And I should have stamped it just a smidge lower because right now it looks like it's floating. And then for the inside, I know that I am going to be doing this in the middle, so I am going to go ahead and stamp. Sure I get this up high enough. And I put my leaf here and a leaf here. So that almost takes care of all the green. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment, if I can find it. Sending a garden of love. Let's double check. Yep, that looks good. I'm going to stamp that right here. So that pretty much takes care of the old olive. Okay, now I'm going to move on to strawberry slush. And there's a few things I want to show you. How we're going to get two-tone, how we can get a two-tone out of one color. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is stamp the card, excuse me, the flower petals. Okay, and that's going to be full strength. And you'll understand what I mean by that in just a moment. Okay, let's go ahead and finish stamping. This makes this card much quicker when you can stamp everything all at once. You're not opening and closing all of your ink pads. You can do them all at once. I want to move this over here to my left so I don't get anything on it. Ink this up again. And you definitely want to stamp the petal first. I tried doing it the other way with the center first, and I ended up stamping it too low, and it may not show up too well on here. So I definitely recommend doing the petals first, because then it will give you references to where to stamp the inside of the card. Okay, now how to get your two-tone. This is stamping full strength, and then if I stamp off one time, I get a lighter color. So for the center, and I put a note on here, stamp one time on scrap paper, and then the center. Stamp off, stamp the center, stamp off, stamp the center. And here we go again. Stamp off, stamp the center, stamp off, stamp the center, stamp off, and stamp the center. And you could definitely stamp lower than what I just did. This is primarily just to show you how to make the card, okay? Let me close this because we are done with all the inks. Now the next thing, because it is thick cardstock, I highly recommend taking your bone folder and flattening it so it will stay closed, okay? All right, so we got the inside is all done. So now we have, don't glue this on yet, even though we're done stamping. That's kind of a rule of thumb I have, is you do not glue anything together until all the stamping is done. However, just in case this green piece is wider, that's why I recommend we glue this on first. We're just going to do a thin bead with our liquid glue. Get it flowing. It tends to come out pretty heavy the first time, and you notice I'm pulling it because you get a thinner, finer bead, and I'm doing it away from the edge of the cardstock. Okay, pull this off, get it in my hand. Okay, so you can see this. All right, now we're going to go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to make sure the very base is covered up of the tulip. And that looks really good. I like that. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this over, and you can see there's just a smidge of the green showing off the edge. I do almost prefer cutting these just to be a smidge longer because it's very easy to just lay your scissors along the edge of the base of the cardstock, and you can trim it up very easily. And that way it matches the layer that it's on. Okay, and it's not hanging off. Now we're simply going to glue this down. And I do a rectangle. I keep pulling the liquid glue, and then I do a little X also so that it will adhere in the center. And then after this, we're going to use our dimensionals. And the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals are nice because nothing goes to waste. Okay. Something went wonky here. It's getting stuck to something. Don't understand. I do use these in classes, so something just got pulled out of alignment, I'm guessing. Now I have my sentiment, which I momentarily lost. Okay, here we go. And so I'm just going to pick up 3 of these dimensionals. And there's a couple ways to get them off. If you squeeze them with the thumbnail, they'll peel off. Another way is to take your pick tool. Oops, I almost stabbed myself. And you can pick them up this way. It's actually very easy to do it that way. And it's easy to throw them into the garbage. Okay. And then this, I am going to put down here like this, centered between these 2 flowers. Okay. So again, we are using Sunshine and Tulips, and it is also on the last chance list, and it will sell out very soon, but it is worth having because you can make some quick cards for your friends and family. So thank you very much for joining me, and have a blessed day. And please do subscribe to my channel, and if you would, give me a thumbs up or make a comment, because it does matter. YouTube takes that into account so more people can find these videos. I appreciate that. Thank you. Bye-bye.